Today's episode of Pop Culture covers topics that may be disturbing for some viewers or listeners. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hello, my lovely hummingbirds, and welcome back to another episode of Makeup and Motivation here on Pop Culture with your lovely host, Monroe. How's it going, everyone? This is not the makeup look that is going to be in today's video. I did a makeup look because I'm going to go outside and do things in this cold-ass weather. Mainly edit this and a bunch of other stuff that I need to get done for Pop Culture in a coffee shop with better Wi-Fi connectivity than here. But all of my craziness aside, hi my lovely hummingbirds, how are you? I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving break. If you celebrate, ow, I just whacked myself. If you don't, I hope you enjoyed the time off anyway. I hope you had really good food. I hope you kept yourselves warm and busy and learning and inspiring and doing the things that help your soul shine. Now, my little discourse aside, for today's makeup look, we are going to be doing a vampiresque style look, emulating both Catherine from Vampire Diaries as well as the vampire boyfriend aesthetic on Pinterest. And we're gonna see how this turns out. I hope you guys like the makeup look, and it goes in line with today's topic of conversation, which is energy vampires. Do not mind my nails. Yeah, I have little cortitas now because I had to cut them, because I'm gonna take this off and then glue on some pretty sparkly nails because nails, I don't know. But that whole little tangent aside, before we begin today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would all join me in a moment of silence for Ayat Khadura and all of the other Palestinian reporters that we have lost in the past week, and all of the other victims of the Israeli-Hamas war, as well as anyone that we have lost in the world of music, movie, media, news, entertainment, in popular culture across the past week. Please join me now for this moment of silence. Thank you all for joining me in that moment of silence. I greatly appreciate it. Now, without further ado, the makeup look. Enjoy!
Hi my lovely hummingbirds! To kick off today's look, we are starting off with the Menage a Moi palette from ColourPop with the shade Butterflies, because, let's face it, we've all had butterflies for one vampire boyfriend or another. Whether it is Buffy's vampire lover, whether it is Damon Salvatore, or even those of us that were Team Edward. And we're gonna kick it off with that. It is very sparkly, very pretty. We're gonna do a very deep cat eye, I'm gonna call it Batwing look because it's vampires. Come on now. Alright, now that we've gone and applied that, we're going to deepen this look, and all in the crease area. We're going to go in with no drama. Because, no, I have nothing quippy. Vampires have so much drama. They've been alive for centuries, of course they do. But we're going to get in there to really deepen that I want to suck your blood look. Now for this portion, because I actually want to be able to get a very vibrant color on the eyelid itself, we're going to go back in there with our eyeshadow primer base, whatever it is that you're using, and reapply it to the eyelid to kind of remove a little bit of the excess dark shades that like really got on there. Once we've gone ahead and done that, we can go in with that rose gold really shimmer. You see how pretty that is? From the Zulu by Juvia's Place. It's honestly one of my absolute favorite shades. I did want to go in there with like a really pretty rosy pink because like, you know, give it a nice little good contrast, but also she's too pure to be pink, but also it personifies a little bit of that original innocence that all the female leads in all these series emulate. And for our highlight area, right underneath our brow line, we're going to go in with Amour by the Ménage à Moi ColourPop palette. Because, you know, there's just this notion that we're all going to find our vampire boyfriend one day and fall in love. I'm going to go ahead and put on the rest of my face, but in the meantime, you can follow me on all of my handles. And there she is. It's giving vampiresque. It's giving... Yes, you can enter my home. It's giving Catherine dancing around with a bottle of whiskey. It's giving Hold on tight, Spider Monkey. It's giving, not really that one. This one gives me more, oh my god, Dakota Fanning as part of the Volturi. Anyways, that's it for the makeup look. Join me now for the rest of the episode. Hi, my lovely hummingbirds. How's it going, everyone? Is it giving I'm a killer Bella? Is it giving let me into your home in Damon Salvatore voice? Is it giving Catherine vibes? Is it giving I wanted to suck your blood? I think so. Also, what screams vampire aesthetic more than this little choker I got going on here? For today's makeup look, we went with a vampire style aesthetic look because we are going to be discussing hello? Not vampire boyfriend. So I'm recording a reading in this look as well today, and I've been already channeling. That is for a grain of salt. Energy vampires is today's topic of conversation, but right now we are going to get into the latest of what has been happening. So, just a few updates. I am still researching the situations going on in both Sudan and Congo, and will return to you guys with more information on that as soon as I have more info behind it and just set up a good way of delivering that information for you all. I have been a little under the weather for reasons. Not just sick, but just spiritual shit too. He has my little mug. But been just, trying to get right. So if I sound a little nasally, gravelly, stuffy, whatever, that is why. But I am here nonetheless, my lovely hummingbirds. And excuse my nails. So that was just one little tidbit I wanted to let you guys know. I will bring more information about that forward, coming soon, pending. But to give some updates on the Israeli-Hamas war. So as you guys saw in last week's episode, in a little update that I had while I was doing all the edits for that episode, there was an update that there was going to be a 4-day truce in order to release 50 of the Israeli hostages and 150 of the Palestinian hostages, all women and children to my knowledge. There has been an agreement, according to the New York Times, is where I saw it, that the truce has been extended for 2 more days in order to release more hostages. Israel had said that, as long as they keep releasing 10 hostages a day, that is how long the truce will continue. This comes after 13,000 Palestinian deaths, approximately 2.2 million people that have been displaced from their homes. Now, there's still a whole lot of chaos going on as far as people that have spoken out about the incident are seeing backlash and repercussions, as I had mentioned previously. There's shadow banning going on. There's, all the, I might not have said it. I might just have my brain. But there's been shadow banning across social media platforms, especially everything that was run by Meta. Shadow banning of even really influential individuals that have been reporting on the war, such as Sean King and Huda from Huda Beauty. Now, 2 of the latest, Susan Sarandon, a queen, was recently dropped by her talent agency for the comments that she made at a pro-Palestinian march. Melissa Barrera, who was one of the leads on Scream, has been dropped by the series. And simultaneously as that happened, Jenna Ortega, a queen, left the series. Now, people behind Scream 7 are saying that it's a film series is what I mean, but the people behind Scream 7 are saying that Jenna had already given them notice that the reason she's leaving is not because of support for Melissa, it's because pre-existing arrangements with Wednesday and scheduling conflicts. Now, personally, I feel like every time someone in Hollywood is it's a scheduling conflict, it isn't actually, and that's just the default response. But I haven't personally seen anything yet. I haven't checked as far as if Jenna did say it was in solidarity to Melissa's statements. I don't know if it's something that she can't even say, just in case she ends up getting, I don't know, kicked off Wednesday or some shit, which would fucking suck. And the internet, of course, is you know what? I accept Scream 6 being the final iteration to the series, which is kind of oof. Other things that have been going on, I don't know if you guys have been seeing the whole Affect Their Pockets boycott thing, boycotting with my wallet. It's been a movement that's been employed. The more that information's being released on companies that are supporting Israel in the war against Hamas and funneling money and, through that consequence, genocide of the Palestinian people and their displacement and the whole ethnic cleansing thing. People are you know what? We're not shopping here. We're not doing this. We're not going here. Disney has given money to Israel and Marvel films. I think the latest was the Marvels. There was a thing floating around the internet that in Korea, no one showed up. Now, there are conflicting stories that it was either they're supporting the boycott of Disney films because of their role in the war itself, or because they didn't like how much screen time the Korean actor got. The prince. I saw the Marvels. I did. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I went to see it, and when I went, I didn't know. I was not aware how much money Disney was funneling to the war. I cannot say I do not feel secondhand guilt. Firsthand guilt, I don't know, whichever one of those it is, but guilt. I was I did not know that, and I don't know how I feel about that now. But Yeah, I don't know. All I was gonna say is the prince is gorgeous. That's all I was gonna say. That whole bit of the movie was so good. Anyway, my geeking out aside. So people are standing firm on, you know, supporting the Palestinian people. Again, if you are in Gaza and in any way, shape, or form you see pop culture, hello, we support you. We are here with y'all. I don't want y'all to lose hope, because literally people are still protesting, still raising their voices, boycotting with their wallets, doing whatever that they can to support the movement while it feels like it's falling upon deaf ears to the powers that may be. Thankfully, the ceasefire has continued, the truce has continued. What I do not like, and I was seeing this on like, I think it was Mexican news media outlet. They were talking, it might have been Photo of it, I don't remember, but there was an interview that they were showing that Benjamin had done. He had like visited the IDF troops and all that, and he said how it wasn't going to stop after like post ceasefire. The way that I took it personally after like watching the interview was that like once all the hostages are released, he's just gonna keep doing what he's doing in Gaza. And honestly, I don't like that. I think it's wrong personally on a humanitarian aspect. Like, what the fuck? Also, and one of the things with like the release of the Palestinian prisoners and hostages and, you know, people that are detained, one of the issues for me that I see with it is like, where are they gonna go? So one of the things that was noted, and like, oh, and this I recently saw like a couple days ago. So Al Jazeera, which I've like told you guys, if you guys want to check out a really good timeline, they definitely have one on their site, but they covered the story of the return of the Israeli hostages by Hamas, and like the hostages are in clean clothes, they're in a solid bit of health, like they're not fucking hurt, right? Like they're not physically battered. And even one of the medical staff from the hospital that they were going to receive treatment at Israel said that there was no emergency like treatment required. And then like I'm looking back at the handoff of the prisoners and I'm like, ew, why does it seem so like different? But that aside, you know, like I said, you guys look up yourselves, do research on this, look into it, look at those differences. I'm just saying, if you are so inclined. But another thing, like I said, like one of my biggest questions is like, as the releases continue, what's going to happen? Because during the truce, like a lot of Palestinian people have tried to go back into their homes and to like basically see the damage done. If there is damage done, salvage what they can, things like that. Some of them did like get restrained at a point of like, hey, no, like you guys can't go there. I just saw 11:11 on my timer. I don't know who that's for, if that was a confirmation for anything. I love y'all. I hope you're okay and that they're confirmed, whatever you needed confirmed or whatever you were thinking in that moment. But that aside, I don't know. That's one of my biggest questions. Like, where are they going to go? If Benjamin Netanyahu is saying that he's going to continue the way they've been going as far as like bombing and missiles and all that until they end Hamas, what's gonna happen with all the people that are getting freed? Like, my question is like, where do they expect them to go if they can't go back home? And it just seems more pushy outwards out of Gaza, and I personally don't like that. Along with the pause and the release of hostages, thankfully there has also been aid entering in from Egypt and like resources and
everything that's been required. I'm so fucking thrilled about that because like it was much needed, much necessary. Of course, people are hoping that like the truce will last and that the ceasefire will be permanent. The way Benjamin is talking, y'all, I don't know. And honestly, like, I'm fucking scared. Also, and this is like a total little tangent that I got. I picked the wrong time to rewatch the Nostradamus Effect on Hulu, on my History Channel. And my little conspiracy brain is just like off the fucking rocker right now. And I'm just like, Lord, this is not the time for this. But anyway, as far as that goes, also, Biden was at something, I don't know, oops, I forgot. My brain is just like all over the place right now. I'm also hungry. That is so random. I just felt my stomach about to gurgle, like, feed me, see more. But Biden was at a thing, I'm assuming for Thanksgiving. Anyone that celebrates Thanksgiving, I hope you guys had a good time surrounded by your loved ones. But people, you know, they were ringing the bells and shit, and they were like, Genocide Joe. And he thought like they were like celebrating him and cheering him on, and he's clapping, and then he like pauses and like had already called them over, and one of his aides was there with him. I'm presuming that's who that man was, and is also gonna wave them over, and then they realize it, and you just see his wife's like reaction, and I'm like, he seemed so like unaware, like not unaware in the like he's senile route is what I'm thinking. That's not what I'm saying. I'm because I can't diagnose the man, but what I'm saying is like he really seems so like he feels like he's doing a great job, and I'm just like, bruh, what is happening? How are you not aware of like, or maybe you are and you just don't give a fuck. Either way, it's just US our leaders are stateside tensions continue here. There were 3 more Palestinian students that were attacked at a university. The numbers keep increasing. I mean, at the polls already, like, we know people are like, we ain't voting for Joe. Especially considering that like 70% of 18 to 34-year-old voters are like, no, we do not want Genocide Joe back in office. My whole thing though, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't want Trump back in office either. I don't think we should go the lesser of two evils route. We tried it already and that didn't work out well. And all I keep hearing is fucking Les Mis, the film, not the play, where little dude is like, you know, we hated the one king, basically we offed him, and he's no better than the last, and I feel like we already did that, and we need to now repeat that cycle. Especially because, like, there's so much shit going on, like, every time around election season, so much shit is going on. But eyes are very vigilant right now across social media, across entertainment, across the freaking world, looking at this, looking at how not just those that are like in a position of power are responding to everything abso-fucking-lutely. And I think we are going to see a very, very major change when it comes to those that are seated that hold power, but also those that have influence, like major celebrities, socialites, fucking influencers, all of that. People really are beckoning. And then the reason for this little mug today, I personally, looking at everything, saw how many individuals, such as DJ Khaled, J-Lo, and many, many more, have limited comments on a lot of their posts, have comments disabled completely on some of their posts, especially around the dates of October 7th on. And a lot of people had so much to say when it came to Melissa Barrera and Susan Sarandon being dropped from their project and their company, you know, respectively, because they're like, you know,
they're voicing against genocide and they get dropped, but then Noah Schnapp from Stranger Things is saying, you know, I think he was like posting stickers or something about like Zionism is sexy and all this shit, and it's like, you know, it's even brought up into the internet world, the conversation of Kanye was right when he was ranting about Jewish people. And it just, tensions are so high right now. I personally do not like some of the statements that are being made on both sides because they are seething with anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. I am in agreement, and I can't remember where exactly I saw this, but there was a comment that was made about how in 50 years we are living through a moment in history. I mean, like we have been the past fucking few years, right? But right now, in this moment, with this conflict, with this war, with this genocide, we are sitting through a moment in history where 50 years time is what the comment said. People will be telling their grandkids that they were on the opposite side of what they are voicing for in this moment. And all I could think of was receipts, internet receipts, screenshots everywhere. But like, they lied to you. That's me being sleepy. And I don't know if I mentioned it last episode of how like IDF soldiers were refusing to go back into Palestine because they had seen like spirits or some shit. I don't remember, but it was just like a random little thing that came to mind. In other news, so with temperatures dropping and a scarcity of funds and resources across the city of Chicago, migrant individuals are struggling to survive with the imminent threats of winter. So this report on WGN, I think it was on their Instagram, or was it ABC7, one of the two, about how like Halloween put the fear of God into people, and they were like, yo, it's fucking cold here, and they're planning on going to places like Texas, New York, Florida. Some even stating they'd rather just go back to Venezuela instead of like facing the winter because they are not prepared for it. Parts of Texas I get, there's other parts that do get really fucking cold too. Florida, understandable, it's hot, but everything going on with DeSantis, I don't think he's gonna allow that shit. Cali, está peor que aquí when it comes to like resources and even their treatment of Latinos that are already in Cali, considering they are like the mass population there. Anyway, one of the things that it brought into question, I don't remember if I talked about this last episode or not, but it brought to the forefront like people here in the city with the general consensus of like, then what are you actually fleeing? And that, for me, you know, it feels like a really hard fucking question, right? Because like I'm fucking first gen here, right? My parents were not born here, I was, and they left their homeland to come here in search for a better life and were busting their asses and did not get any of the funding and resources and everything that is being received by the people arriving now. I'm not saying like, oh, because my family struggled, yours has to too. What I'm saying is it, with a lot of people here in the city, right, especially even people that have previously come to seek asylum and have not gotten a smidge of the resources being received now, and people being so willing to even just go back because of weather changes. Granted, there's a whole lot more behind it. Like, funding's gonna run out, like they're expecting people to find work in homes and all this stuff, and a lot of people are not even going to get approved for the work permits and visas that they're getting because like there isn't fucking money for it. With people stating like, I'd rather just go back instead of facing the cold, I think a really big consensus in Chicago is like, then what was the point? And granted, it's one of those, like, we can't really say because we're not in that situation, right? But a lot of people across the internet were saying, like, it's brought up the narrative of, like, then is it really that bad what you were running from? You know, people going on social media, on TikTok, being like, don't come to Chicago because it's fucking horrible. Everything we were already saying, it's cold, we're broke, there ain't no work, there ain't nothing, right? What we got food. We have food and booze. Like, that sounds so tragic. But winters here are harsh, and it is bringing a really big fear, especially because we already have mortality rates that increase as the weather gets colder here. Like, it's bringing a whole lot of fear in regards to the desperation that people can reach and what's going to happen as far as crime and violence if there isn't something that's done about the migrant crisis here. Now, validity aside, into some random news for y'all. Congratulations to Maluma baby. The papi Juancho is now officially going to be a papa. Congratulations to him and his significant other, Susana Gomez, on their expected baby. Maluma baby, gotta have a baby. I'm so happy for them. I love babies. Do I potentially have slight Bieber fever? Not Bieber. Baby fever right now. So, congratulations to them. Not congratulations, I don't really know. Maybe it's a good thing. But Meryl Streep and her husband are apparently separating or divorcing. They've been separated, but they're divorcing. There's rumors that la jefa y el jefe de reggaeton, Daddy Yankee y Mireles, are separating or divorcing. Like, they scrub their social medias of each other, except like what is co-parenting between them for their kid, like holidays like that. I don't know. That would suck. They've been together forever and a fucking day. Rumors are that, like, it had to do with the child that he had before him and Mireles were together. I don't know. In other news, congratulations to Missy Elliott. I know I am late on this, but there was so much that we had to cover last week's episode that, like, I was like, we're gonna save the other news for next week. Congratulations on Missy Elliott, not just for aging in reverse, but also for being the first female hip-hop artist inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Fucking congratulations. And if I could do the whole little reverse thing for everything I just said, I would do it in honor of her and then say it again. But I can't. In other somber news, because social media has been crazy right now, Keke Palmer security camera footage was released that she was attacked by her baby daddy. It was thrown into evidence. I hope she's okay. I hope everything ends up okay for her and her baby after all of that. I know I had seen a couple things that, like, his brother of dude had, like, spoken up defending him, and her mom spoke up and she's like, no, he's fucking lying. And then the video footage came out and it's like a whole fucking thing. Cassie, y'all remember Cassie? Yeah. Love her. She got a $30 million settlement in her lawsuit against Diddy, where she cited violence and abuse on behalf of P. Diddy. No one really came out to his defense. And, you know, I feel like that was one of those things of, like, I saw that somewhere, somebody said it, they were like, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But, like, also it's very telling at the fact that everyone was just like, there's no point in even defending him. And also, I feel like a settlement is like, I don't want to say a payout. I'm looking at my eyebrows. Sorry. They look a little weird to me right now. Anyway, it's fine. Don't even care. I'm just so excited I get to record. I'll fix them later. But very telling of the industry. And I know there was this video circulating of, like, everyone that in the industry that has done some form of, like,
grooming or abuse or like acosto. I don't know how to say it. I think it's accostation. That just sounds so weird to me. Probably not pronouncing it accurately. But that being said, my lovely hummingbirds, if you or anyone you know is suffering from abuse, please dial 1-800-799-7233 or text START to 88788. Both of those, the number and the number to text, is going to be down in the description, as well as, 988 for the suicide prevention hotline. Congratulations to Brett Cooper. That is such a weird turn. Congratulations to Brett Cooper on the live action Snow White role that she landed. I'm so proud of her. I do watch her podcast every now and then because I like to get a different perspective on things. I've told you guys this a bunch of times. I keep eyes and ears everywhere, just seeing sights to everything. What was I saying? Oh. Yeah, congrats on the Snow White role. That aside, Grand Lux Cafe is closing here in Chicago, according to Chicago Media Takeout. They are closing after 21 years of being in service. December 24th is the last day. It's so sad. If you guys have never been there, you should go. It's really pretty. It's a really pretty restaurant. It's really big. I don't know. It's so crazy to me. Like, I feel like we are seeing the after effects of COVID. We are still very much in the shadow of it, and like the way that the market is looking right now, the way that the financial situation, honestly, not just here stateside, I feel like it's really hitting on a global scale too. Diosito no se da reconfesados. I don't know what's gonna happen. Speaking of the Marvels, as I mentioned earlier, tidbit, it bombed at the box office. I don't know why. I feel like female-forward Disney films have not done smashingly well in ever, especially when it comes to Marvel. I feel like there's always something awful that's said about them, and I don't know if it's just because people genuinely don't like the portrayals in them, or people just genuinely don't like women. But I think it was a good film. I think it was done well. I think the acting was superb. Like, it wasn't a horrible movie, and I feel like it's getting dogged on so fucking bad, and it wasn't. It was well-rounded. The gorgeous young actress that portrays Kamala Khan in the film, Miss Marvel, they asked her, like, oh, what do you think about the box office? And she's like, I was happy with the final product, so is everyone that is close to me. She's like, as far as box office and all that, that's a Bob Iger? Bob. That's Bob's problem. She was so candid about it, and I was like, I mean, she's not wrong. Technically, she's not in charge of marketing, and like, if you watch the film, it's done so good. They hit everything they needed to hit. Everyone's performance was Marvel level. Like, it wasn't trash. I just feel like unless there's all this hype around it, it's hard to, and especially with everything going on and Disney's support of Israel, like, there's so many factors to it in my eyes. I don't know. Terrifier. The film had the plug pulled on the project as some of the initial scenes were deemed too graphic. I think it's Terrifier 2 or 3, I don't remember. But I did see the previous installment of Terrifier, and honestly, I'm not surprised if they're saying that, like, the studio was like, this is a lot. I believe it. Oh, I believe it. I am still like, whoo, from that first one, and he like chainsaw down the half. Whoo, ooh, ooh. Something about creepy clowns, man, especially ones that don't fucking die. Just I believe it. I'm not surprised. I am excited to see, though, if, like, the movie does get a release update and all that. SAG-AFTRA strike has ended, and Fran Drescher, who is the head chair, she's the chairwoman, she's in charge. She's in charge of SAG-AFTRA, y'all, right now. If you guys don't know who Fran Drescher is more commonly known for her portrayal as Miss Fine in The Nanny. And she clapped back at the naysayers, saying that a consensus was reached and it was solid and fair. Now, I do know that a lot of POC actors and actresses were so happy because they listened to the demands as far as like hair and makeup and costume and effects and all that, which fucking finally. But a lot of the naysayers issues that were being had did revolve around AI, which we're gonna get more into the chaos of AI and everything that's happening now at a later episode. And that being said, AI, what is it doing? Sucking the life out of art? No, I'm kidding. Kidding. I had no cute little tangent for this. So I just threw in whatever. But for today's topic of conversation, energy vampires. I was gonna do a cute little, like, you know, blood drip here, but then I couldn't find my little thing to make my fangs, and I was like, I don't want to ruin the makeup. Like, I might use it for something else. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But this vampire is not your typical bloodsucker from the movies, okay? By any means. And if you, my lovely hummingbirds, are in the journey of self-love and self-healing and life itself, chances are you've probably run into an energy vampire or vampires. Because, you know, vampires have a nest. Shout out to Supernatural. They have a king and all the little offspring it makes. Oh my god. And along the journey of self-love and self-healing, besides running into a vampire too, you, my lovely hummingbirds, might have also been one. And before you go, what? Monroe, what the fuck are you talking about? I have never been an energy vampire. Well, hear me out. Hear me out, my lovely hummingbirds, because in the journey of self-love and self-healing, in order to survive, sometimes we are the drama. Sometimes we are. Especially because energy vampires can happen both intentionally or not. Now, what is an energy vampire? Well, the definition is here. And energy vampires are people who sometimes intentionally drain your emotional energy. They feed on your willingness to listen and care for them, leaving you exhausted and overwhelmed, according to Healthline.com. Now, in my personal consensus, and this is what we're going to break down on today's episode. Ow, I just hit my elbow. I personally believe, okay, that there's actually 5 types of energy vampires. We got the to me, this is what they are to me, okay? To everything else, it only says that there's intentional and unintentional, right? I think there's 5. And I mean, like, broken down underneath the scope of intentional and unintentional. I believe there's 5. Emotional. So, and we're going to go into what each of these is, but I think there's emotional, psychological, energetic, spiritual, resource-based, and gratuitous. Okay? Now, as we go down the line, like, you can break these down further, but I personally think it's 5. And the 5 are going to be our main focus. These 5 right here. Now,
As I mentioned, they can be intentional and non-intentional, and I think it's not always the easiest to notice, especially when it comes to the non-intentional ones. Or notice it in yourself if you are being a non-intentional energy vampire. Now, emotional, this Dracula of a fucking vampire, requires affection, love, nurture, care, validation, hyper attention to emotions. Think of this on like the drastic scale of an emotional energy vampire as like you're, if not always, frequently walking on eggshells around this person so as not to hurt their feelings, upset them, offend them, get them in erratic behavior where they are lashing out at you, at others, at themselves, fears of like, oh, they might hurt themselves. Also, oh, this just reminded me, and if you skipped the intro completely, hi, we talk about heavy shit on makeup and motivation more often than not. So if you have issues discussing things revolving around abuse, harm, self-harm, substance use, suicidal ideation, all of those things when it comes to mental health, this might not be the series on this channel for you, or if you are currently struggling with any of those, then this might not be the episode for you to tune into today. Please do so at your own discretion. And I have everything listed in the description, but I'm not a medical professional. I am not a legal counsel of any sort. I am not a holistic medical professional of any sort. I only am here to provide y'all with the information as a form of entertainment / and or education to the best of my knowledge and abilities from what I have experienced and researched. So just before we move forward into it, okay, that said, emotional, that whole walking on eggshells, that whole like also fear of like contradicting for emotionally, because the consequences that would be to emotionally distress them in any way, shape, or form. And I don't mean like it's a one-off because they got something going on. I mean like this is a pattern. With energy vampires, usually it's a pattern, my loves. So that's what we're discussing. And after I just give my whole little spiel, the next one that we have is psychological. This Damon. Yes, I think Damon was a very psychologically manipulative vampire, but we're gonna leave that alone. Because I am a Damon girl. I am. Teehee. I have issues. Anyway, all that aside, this is a Damon of an energy vampire. They need to keep you mentally stimulated at all times. So for this one, this is not a do nothing friend. This is not a sit in silence with you friend. This is not a just have a moment and chill. Every moment requires some form of mental astuteness on your behalf, and more so on the drastic scale, it involves mind games. So they are very like, things are always upfront in your face, but never not read in between the lines. So like you always have to be like, you're listening and paying attention to what they're saying because that is what it is, but it's also not what it is because there's like ulterior motives behind everything that is being presented. It's very exhaustive, and it's just double entendre galore. Okay, this one very, very heavy on the like, you will probably have a mental breakdown or even dread being around this person, just because either they will make you feel like intelligence wise or smarts wise, they will aim to make you feel lesser than, stupid, like you're incorrect all the time, you don't know what you're speaking about, and really put you under from a psychological standpoint, even so psychological in the realm of like leading into emotional, like you are not astute in knowing yourself, you don't know your emotional range, things like that, boundaries, and they will play that field in order to keep you there with them. Oftentimes, psychological energy vampires run within the realm of like, you're like an experiment to them. They run on like your mental to see like, okay, how far can I push this and how far can I use this to my advantage until I run them dry and like do what I needed with them, type of thing. After that, we have the energetic spirit sucking vampires. This Victor of a vampire. Yes, I have vampire names for all of them. Off of like movies. So the first one, Dracula, you know, Ollie. Dracula himself, Bram Stoker. Also kind of Van Helsing's Dracula, because he has all the brides. And, you know, emotional. Damon, Vampire Diaries. Victor is from Underworld. So the energetic spirit vampire. This one needs to keep you as your only, like they need to keep you there with them, and they are your only lifeline. Okay, they are your only anchor, your only support system, your only fucking cheerleader, etc. Playing on your insecurities and skill set simultaneously. So for this one, it's very like, this person will cheer you on, right? And be like, oh my god, yes, you are like so good at this one thing that you do. But also, like, don't you think maybe it would be a little better if you did this? And it's very underhanded criticism. So instead of it actually being constructive, it is said and done in a way so that like you start questioning yourself, your abilities. And also very isolating. As I said, they want to be your only lifeline. And oftentimes the reason that they are as such is because they are the ones that broke you down when you needed lifting up. And they are the ones that separated you from everything and everyone, either through like other forms of manipulation to like manipulate your environment, to then use you, break your spirit down so that you have no choice but to run back to them. Right? Because like your spirit is built up of like a support system that is healthy, that loves you, that builds you up genuinely, that there are no like jealousies, insecurities, things of that nature. And with the form of like isolation, like think more like what is deemed, especially in like pop psychology, like typical narc. That is, in my opinion, a really good definition for an energy like spirit vampire. But this person is very like, they're the ones that will say that you are only the way that you are because of them. So like Victor in Underworld, Celine is like, I made you type of shit. That's this type of energy vampire. They're like, you know, you are the way that you are because of them. They built you up. They made you this whole fucking weird ass notion, completely undermining all the work you've put in, right? And they will also steer your vibrance of life. So, and that can also take on very like physical iterations as well. So not only will they steal your vibrance of life, of like your energy, where like you used to be very happy and bubbly and outgoing, now you're just like, ooh, I can't be that because they told me that this person was talking shit about that. I can't be that because they told me that this looked this way. And then you go from this like bubbly, happy little bundle of joy to like, I hate everything and everyone and the world is trash. And like you just get a very negative outlook and mindset and really bogged down, and it's just like a constant gray cloud over you. Also, it affects the way that you eat, behave, even substance uses, even like down to the fucking shininess of your hair, health of your skin. It really just gets inside of you because it breaks down your spirit. It breaks down more than just the mind, you know? The next one that we have, this Lestat of a vampire, and I am talking interview with vampire Lestat. This motherfucker keeps you for what you can do for them. And I mean physically. And this can go from anywhere from how good you look. So like if you are juicy and you look like arm candy every time that you are around them, they're like, ooh, this person makes me look good. I'm keeping them around me because they make me look good, right? This is like having you around because like anytime you're with you, they use you for whatever physical thing they can get from you. So food, money, access even. So like access to people, places, things, events. As I said, money, food, even fucking coffee because you buy them every day. And like, I don't know why when I was typing this, I was like, damn, this kind of sounds like a sugar baby. Like the toxic shit that is said like about sugar babies and all that, and I'm like, wow, there it's more of an equal exchange. Each party is getting whatever they need to from that interaction, but this is not. This is more of a one-sided factor unless you are very in the people-pleasing mindset, okay? Because so for this one, for the resource-based energy vampire, because like and the reason that I believe like resource-based exists individually is because money is an energy, and to be receiving money you have to be in the flow of money. Anyway, not the point. Not the point right now, but resource-based, when you are very within the people-pleasing mindset, you're not gonna fucking like think about it twice, especially if like your love language, my lovely hummingbirds, is gift giving or acts of service, but especially the gift giving, because like resource based is very that you're just like giving a portion of yourself off to this person. In their eyes, for this type of energy vampire, for this Lestat, if you have, they have. And not in a cute, like when you say like, oh, if we're all going out to eat and like my one friend is currently in a difficult situation and everybody helps out, or I help them out this time and then they got next time and then they do got next time, that's different. This is every fucking time. This one can happen two ways in my eyes. Obviously, tweak however this applies to you, but either they lack and you offer out of the goodness of your soul, and they flat out just like always start asking you for specific things. So like, for example, think like your friend will feed their vices and always have money for that, but when it's your payday, they always need extra cash for something, and then you end up finding out later on it's to feed those vices. Does that make sense? So there's that. There is also the moment of like, because you are in that like mindset of, oh, I need to help them because they need me, right? And you're in that people pleaser mindset, and then you confront it, it'll be a like, well, I didn't ask you to do that for me. And then it shifts the blame on you, and then you're sitting there like, damn, the fuck do I do, right? So it can happen either way, and like I said, intentional or non-intentional. Sometimes people don't know that they're doing it. Sometimes you don't know you might be doing it, my lovely hummingbirds. The next one. I don't have an example for this one. Vampire-wise, per se. And for this one, give me an example of a vampire in the comments that you know that fits this in like popular culture. But we have the gratuitous vampire, this little fucking thirsty succubus bitch. In my opinion, is the hardest of the 5 of like the energy vampires, it is the most venomous because the bond to this one, the tie, seems so reciprocal. It seems so even. It seems like a give and take. And you build it with them. For this one, it's often over time. This one is not an instantaneous one. So I feel like this one can really be built around codependency issues, especially. But once you, like, you know, blinders come off and you realize that's the type of energy vampire they are, you start to see how really bare minimum their portion of it was to none. Where, like, you could have just been, like, they were breadcrumbing you. And for this one, like, if you really place the correct boundaries and you keep yourself safe, if needed, walk away. Now, as I mentioned, when we got into the psychological one, unfortunately, yes, energy vampires can operate in different ones and not always the same within every person, right? They can have mixtures of different of like the energy vampire sucking aspects, whether it is the emotional, psychological, resource-based, gratuitous, or energetic. So granted, yes, they all drain you, period, of different things. It can end up being a full breakdown of your spirit at a point if, like, it just keeps going and going and going, and the thing they're draining you of starts affecting the other sectors of your life. Now, the main consensus here, main thing to note, is all energy vampires are self-centered focus. They are all me, 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 me. They operate from that me focus mindset. And it is, as I said, an area of pattern of actions that take place. It is not a one-off. This is a constant type of thing. Now, if you have someone in your life portraying any of the above habits that I mentioned, right? Any of those. And it's something that's new, right? Like, this is like so out of character. They've never fucking done this before. Sit down and have that conversation with them if possible. And it's like you sit down and you approach it, and you approach it in a healthy way as well, okay? Healthy communication. I can't articulate. Healthy communication, my lovely hummingbirds. And like, you know, they're honest and they're like, okay, well, I have this really hard shit going on, like, and you guys are both mindful of each other's space and time and awareness and all that. Like, that's healthy. And this is, even though it might be a pattern for a bit, it might just be a difficult, hard fucking time that they're going through. I'm not saying you have to be there and be Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm saying advise them as best you can, and also offer professional advice. Like, them to seek professional help with this matter. Now, of course, keep yourself, your boundaries, your values in the forefront of your mind to help you, especially to help you know how it is that you're going to proceed. Because it's your choice if you're going to keep them around or not. Now that we've identified the 5 little fucking bloodthirsty little assholes, little goofy fucking let me in your house or I can't get in garlic allergic bitches. Okay, I'm done. Catching into flames with the sunlight. I'm done. Okay, I'm done. Unless you're Edward and you sparkle, but at that point the Volturi rip you apart and toss you into fire anyway. Either way, they end up in flames. That aside, now it's time we discuss the enabling part. I did mention codependency, I did mention people pleasing, I did mention sometimes we're the energy vampires. After you've realized who in the dynamic is the energy vampire, it is now your turn, my lovely hummingbirds, to self-assess. Boundaries, self-healing, self-love, all of that is not to control others. It is to control ourselves within our environments and the things that happen around us, for us, all of that, right? Assess the part that we're playing in the behavior, if any, and how we can reestablish those boundaries that are already in place for us so as to not allow ourselves to continue to be taken advantage of or taking advantage of. Now that the boundaries are in place, ask yourself a couple things. Are they being respected at their full capacity? Or has this bloodsucker adjusted their MO to gain a different thing from you in its place? That is still to some degree the same thing that was asked for previously, but modified. So think of like how they were asking you for money at first to like feed their vices, right? And now instead of asking you for money, they're like, oh, well, I know you also partake in said vice. Can I join you? Type of thing. Or if they were asking for like time and affection from you freaking 7 hours of every day, now they're like, well, I'm gonna ask time and affection from you 3 hours twice a day every day, you know, little tweaks like that. Or sometimes even, as I mentioned, changing the form of thing that they're requiring, so they can go from an emotional to a psychological to a resource-based to a spirit to a gratuitous, whichever. Is the relationship mutually beneficial? Does it still hold genuineness or value aligned connectivity? Or are you simply there, my lovely hummingbirds, due to a perceived loyalty to this person because of time of knowing them or experiences had with them? Okay. And the reason that I asked this one, like, sometimes people really do just grow apart. And I feel like oftentimes when those friendships fizzle out, like there's nothing more that you guys can do for each other because your life paths might be veering, you can become unintentional energy vampires to one another. And it's like, is this something that can actually be worked on? Or is it past that? Is it past that point? Is it time to let go? Are you both draining each other differently because you just no longer align with one another? That is a question to ask yourselves, my lovely hummingbirds. I saw this fucking thing. I read a thing. I think it was probably like on Psychology Today. I don't know. But it was this article of like, how do you know like a relationship in your life is no longer beneficial? And it was like, one of the things on there was, are you drained after seeing this person? Or do you like, not fear, but like dread seeing this person, hanging out with them because of whatever you feel afterwards? So like if you have a friend or a loved one, even a family member or a significant other, and they're like, oh my God, let's hang out, or let's do this, or let's meet up, and you're just like, fuck, I really don't want to see them because of this, because of that. It might be time to address the situation. So now that we are at the assessing part, let us go for the action-based questions. Are you able to actually address the situation you find yourself in with this person? As I mentioned, can you actually have a sit down and have that conversation? Do you have the mental, the energetic, the emotional, etc. capacity to address the matter? Or will a cutoff be required? In that as well, will it be a slow detaching and you drift apart? Or is it going to be an instantaneous, fuck this, block it all, can't even do that, seal it? after you've decided what steps you're going to take, my lovely hummingbirds, how can you heal from this? Well, whether you are the one being sucked on or the one doing the sucking. With vampires across lore, right? Because they are immortal beings that do not die unless they are killed the right way. They see millennia go by and all that they can do is fill themselves. They are essentially lore-wise considered a void, a chasm of never-ending intake, where all they will do is that they will take and take and take and take, whether it is building knowledge or wealth or pleasures or whatever it is. Blood. Blood too. My belief is that more often than not, energy vampires occur because of a need to fill a void within ourselves or within the person that is doing the energy vampire actions. So, with that, the things to ask yourself, my lovely hummingbirds, whether you are the energy vampire or the poor little humanling being sucked on. Being the human sucked on just sounds so twisted in my head right now, but that's not the point. What within your life, internally or externally, is in a state of lack? What is the void within you? It is time to understand that. Now that you've analyzed that, pull back and look at where that is even coming from. Because that shit did not just pop out of nowhere. We are creatures of our environment, and more often than not, incapable of original thoughts and children of consequence. So, look at where it stems from and what actions you can take on your behalf to heal that aspect of yourself, my lovely hummingbirds, independently or, as I mentioned, with professional help. Now that the healing has begun, pay attention to your boundaries. And if you're picking up on detrimental habits that you pick up during the healing process along the way to replace the initial void, look at your cycles and patterns to heal them, okay? Forgive yourself and others, okay, for the actions taken in those moments, and truly acclimate yourself to understanding them for what they were, and give yourself the grace for not immediately recognizing these patterns and habits within yourself or others. Most importantly, keep, and this one is the most important one, my lovely hummingbirds, keep being that gorgeous little bundle fucking joy wobbling around with brightness and love. Okay? Keep being your beautiful, lovely self with your boundaries, with your values, as you continue on this very little twisty, nasty journey that is life. It's gorgeous. It really is. It's beautiful. And as always, if no one has told you, my lovely hummingbirds, I'm so very happy you're alive, and I'm so very happy you're here, and you matter, and your life matters, and the impact that you have on this world is so much greater than you can imagine. Now, next week, my lovely hummingbirds, join me as we discuss the webs we weave in the journey of self-love and self-healing. Last little tidbit when it comes to energy vampires and being, when it comes to tweaking the cycles and habits, it is okay to replace something that you did that was bad, that you pick up along that healing from energy vampires. Say to decompress, you would go out and right, go out and get a little smoke, and you switch it over with every time you start freaking wanting to smoke, you go out for a walk, or you do something more productive, you jog, or you eat something healthy. Also be careful when you start overdoing it, and really address different coping mechanisms to help cycle with all of that, okay? But anyways, my lovely hummingbirds, that's it from me for you for today's episode. As always, les mando mucha paz, muchos besos, y les recuerdo que miren hacia la luna. Sending you much peace, many kisses, and reminding you to always look up at the moon. I miss my tapestry. It's okay. Yeah, that's it. I love y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay warm. It's getting fucking colder. Stay informed. Stay sexy. It is cuffing season. Be aware of that. Okay, that's it. I'll catch y'all tomorrow for a reading. I didn't do the ancestor read last week because I just didn't get a fucking chance to, but it is happening this week. It is a pick a card. I'm super excited. I'm gonna do Xibalba inspired makeup. Hello, guy. And yeah, okay, that's it. I love you. I'm done with announcements. Have a good one. Bye.